Hallo zu unserem Deutsch-Pinoi-Podcast Henerasyon 2.0. Heute haben wir Pat zu Gast. Als Entrepreneur von Kape de Filipina hat sie uns die Welt des Kaffees mitgenommen und uns erklärt, was es bedeutet, im Kaffee-Business zu sein. Auch erklärt sie uns, dass jeder Kaffee seine eigene Geschichte hat und sie damit auch kleine Kaffeebauer unterstützt und die alte philippinische Kaffeekultur hier den Deutschen näher bringen will. Also viel Spaß!
Ich liebe Kaffee. Ich liebe die Kaffeekultur. In Europa ist es so stark, es ist so divers. Ich liebe es, in einem Café zu arbeiten oder nachdenken oder mit Freunden zu reden. Also ich liebe Cafés. Und in Europa sehe ich kolumbianischen Kaffee oder was von überall. Aber ich habe nie philippinischen Kaffee gesehen.
Mhm.
Und dann war es ein bisschen traurig, weil also ich weiß, dass wir sehr guten Kaffee haben. Und wir waren der fourth biggest producer in the 1800s. Und
okay.
jetzt kennt niemand, dass wir philippinischen Kaffee haben. So.
Gibt es einen Grund? Weißt du ungefähr die History, warum dieser Kaffeehandel nicht mehr so stark ist von den Philippinen?
Yeah, so before there was a coffee plague globally.
Okay.
And it hit the Philippines, also Colombia, Indonesia, but we weren't so strong in terms of agricultural practices, so we weren't able to recover after. Other countries had more support from the government, also more sustainable practices, and because the farmers didn't know how to come back, they just focused on agriculture, so rice, vegetation, and we're so strong there now. So it's only been maybe 1960 or 1970 when we started bouncing back, and that we were able to meet our local production, but also be able to export. So that's why it's new, and not a lot of people know anymore that we can produce, because it's been a very, very long time.
Okay.
Ich glaube, die meisten wissen das gar nicht.
Ja, nee.
Deswegen ist es so interessanter. Und
Ja.
auf welche Kaffeesorte bist du spezialisiert?
Also ich habe 4 verschiedene Arten. Ich habe Barako. Und Barako ist, was die Pinoys lieben. Und dann habe ich auch 3 Arabicas von Mount Apo, Matutum in Ampuja, also im Süden. Also Arabicas kennen die Europäischen, aber Barako nicht so. Noch nicht so.
Und sag mal, wie kommt man denn zu dem Kaffee? Also ich meine, bist du dann zu all diesen Kaffeehändlern dann gegangen und hast gesagt, ich möchte gerne mit euch Business machen? Oder gibt es da Zwischenhändler oder kommt deine Familie auch aus dem Kaffee-Business?
Nein, also ich habe einen Freund und he is connected with Philippine Coffee Association, PCA, Philippine Coffee Alliance, sorry. And the Philippine Coffee Alliance is a group of small farmers and small roasters, so not major producers yet, not companies. And they help educate the farmers and make sure that they know how to sell the coffee and have more sustainable practices. And they connect the farmers to like smaller cafes or distributors like me.
So actually you support the farmers.
Yeah.
Warst du dann schon mal bei den Farmers eigentlich auch mal vor Ort? Also hast du dir schon mal das angeschaut?
So I know them, I met them, but I couldn't go to the farm directly because of pandemic. I was home in February to check everything. So not yet, but I've met them and the partners also.
Nice. Wie viel Kaffee nimmst du dann eigentlich von den Farmern ab? Ich meine, das müssen ja Mengen sein. Oder sind das große oder kleine Mengen?
Ist egal. So, ich habe im September angefangen und habe nur 30 Kilos bestellt. Es ist wie ein Test. Also ich wollte wissen, ob Leute unseren Kaffee bestellen würden. Und ja, und dann, wenn es besser geht, dann bestelle ich noch mehr. Yeah.
And how's the business going right now?
Good. So I'm very surprised with the turnout because I haven't done a lot of marketing yet. Because I only started 3 weeks ago. So I'm surprised because I sold out actually recently.
No, really?
I
wanted to order.
No, I have a new batch. So you can order for sure.
Good.
Yeah, but
I'm ready, Tana.
Coffee.
We love coffee. And we have been
Yes.
following you. We have been following you on Instagram, and we're so amazed about it. We're like, this is an incredible story. And we just love, the way you present it, the way, the packaging, the entire idea about it. It's so Filipino still, you represent it very well. And it's, it's really nice. And you do support, farmers there.
And also,
Yeah,
the Filipino colors, but in a modern way. And it's really, it really catches your eye. It's really, really nice.
I think, thank you. I think that's super nice to hear. I think one thing that I haven't really said in any of on the website or on Instagram is that the packaging, so the print, that is actually patterned after the tribal print of the farmers from Cavite. Their tribal print, that's the packaging of Barako, or Mount Apple. That's the packaging of the print. Also,
nice.
Nice idea.
I want to tell the story. It's also very hard to say it in a short way.
No, don't worry. We have time.
We have time, please. We'd love to learn.
Yeah. So, I just really wanted to make sure that I highlighted the Philippine culture. So it's not just about selling coffee. It's also making people know that, first recognize our culture, so our colors, our prints, but also it's putting the farmers at the center of the product. They're the ones who make it. They're the ones who work hard for the coffee. I really just bring it here and sell it. So it was important for me that they are well represented in the product, not just, buying from them and then selling.
Yeah. Did you have to choose from many different coffees in the Philippines? I don't even know how many coffees we have.
Are there many coffee regions in the Philippines, or only these 5
No, there
regions
are more.
you have? Okay.
There are more.
There are more.
I only have 4. But
4.
I really wanted to bring in more. And the 4 are really just to start. Because I want to bring in more, but I need to really understand what Europeans will like. Now now I kind of know what they like. So more milky, more chocolatey. So Mount Apple, for example, is my best seller because the taste is very similar to what I find here.
Yeah.
Is Barocon, and isn't it strong? Is a strong coffee, isn't it?
Yes. More deep caramel, dark chocolate, a little bit
bitter, a little bit bitter.
Yeah.
Bitter taste. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a coffee tasting in Berlin.
Yeah, I want to.
Maybe you do that one day. We bring our camera and then we visit you. Do you have a shop then, maybe? Are you planning to have a shop?
I want to one day. That's the long-term goal.
Okay.
Go.
Maybe in 1 or 2 years, I want to have a real cafe in a store. But for now, it's really like I need to start and make people know that there's Philippine coffee first that exists. And then next step is to build a shop.
Okay. So besides, it's like you have now 4 different kind of coffees. So if the 5th or 6th, sag mal sort? No, I don't know. How are you going to choose now the next 3, 4, 5 coffees? do you get samples, or do you choose by region what is maybe your favorite region? How do you do that?
So the reason that so when I went home in February, I brought back a lot of samples. I shared it with friends. So Germans, non-Germans, everybody here in Berlin is very international anyway. And then, I just asked them what they like, what they think they cannot find in Berlin. Barako for me was the most important to bring in. So whether or not the feedback was great, it was important for me to bring it because it's my carrier. So it's what the Philippines most. So Barako, and then the three others were really based on what people like the most. It was based on feedback from my friends and different people that they shared the coffee with. But also, I wanted to make sure that the flavors I was bringing in were very different from what we can find here. Of course, I needed Mount Apple, which was what you most likely would find here, because if it's so different, then they might be a little hesitant to try. It was really all about, like, number one, what do people like? Number two, what actually has this like a powerful story? Because I worry that some regions are already owned by bigger corporations, for example. And I want to help the farmers, but I feel they already have help from bigger companies. So I'd really rather work with smallholder farmers, so more independent, who sell directly.
So sometimes it must be hard then to find the farmers who are still in need. I
think so. That's where the alliance comes in, because they know who the people are. And they've worked with them for a long time. It's just they don't sell to chains. So for example, Figaro, which is like the local Starbucks, or Nestle, for example, they don't. It's really more small, independent cafes or smaller distributors like myself.
Mm-hmm. What is your marketing tool? How do you sell your coffee? Via online only, or are you going to every shop and trying to sell, or within your friends, or how does it work?
Yeah, so for now I have a Shopify shop. So I have my own shop. So if you go to Filipina.eu, you can buy directly from there. But soon, actually, I will be in Filipino restaurants around Berlin first, and then eventually outside Berlin. So
have you actually met other Filipino communities besides the Berlin community?
I met a couple, actually, not really met yet, but like I've spoken to a couple of them. There are baristas who are based in, I don't know,
Arnsberg, yeah.
Yeah. So he is the manager of a cafe there, and he helps me market it. They just can't serve the beans yet because they're under contract, but they have like a following on Instagram and on YouTube, and they create content for me. It's been super nice. But yeah, it's really more like, I feel I wanted to start first with Berlin because this is where I am. Like, I want to build a strong brand first here, and then I go outside Berlin once I kind of have Berlin. Also because I'm a one-man person, so I did everything on my own.
Wow.
Yeah, so the design, I made this. The shop, I did it. I programmed it a little bit. Also the design, I did it on top of my full-time job. So parang one by one, like first Berlin, and then I go outside once it's a little bit more stable here.
And so you said besides your full-time job, so what are you doing on the daytime?
So I work actually for Babbel, the language learning app.
The app?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my full-time job.
What is Babbel again?
Babbel is a
learning tool for
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I heard before. Yeah, I do recognize it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's my day job.
So you're a programmer, or
no?
Not okay.
I'm a marketer there, so I take care.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And
So
then
actually, you're really already good in marketing.
hopefully,
Yeah. So you're already, you know the business in marketing.
I think, yeah, more than anything, it's been very helpful to get me acquainted with the tools. So digital marketing, yeah, that's been super helpful. But it's still a small business, and I really just started 3 weeks ago, so I need my full-time job to survive.
Yeah.
One day.
Sure.
But you said you started last year, right? With your, not with the idea, but actually with your business. Am I right?
The business started late. The ideation started late last year, but I only opened in September because there's a lot of paperwork, both in the Philippines and also in Germany that we needed for. So
Yes.
yeah. Also because they're small farmers, they don't always have the right licenses to export. And we needed to work on that to make because they weren't set up for it. So I'm actually their first international partner.
That's so great.
So a lot of work, a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, especially, you know, in Germany, they want for everything a paper.
Yeah.
Like the paper of the paper and plan A, plan B, plan
And they want to have an Überprotokollierung and then another step.
protocol. So, but how is it actually for you to live in Berlin? I mean, just like coming from the Filipino culture, you know, and, you know, busy and everything, it's hot. And then you coming here to Germany, wasn't it for you also a culture clash, or even especially the weather?
A little bit. So the weather, my family used to travel a lot also in Christmas time because that was the time we were all free with our jobs, and yeah, my brother and my sister also. So the weather was less of a surprise for me. Of course, when I arrived and it was -17, it was like it's so cold.
Oh, freezing. Okay.
Super cold when I arrived. Yeah, but I feel like that was the easiest part. So when I moved, I had to do everything on my own. I didn't have I mean, I grew up independently, so I always knew how to do things for myself. But when, like in the Philippines, you don't live separately from your parents if you're not married, right? So there are a lot of things that you don't really think about that I had to start thinking about for myself. So I mean, things as simple as buying your own food and then knowing what you don't have anymore and making sure that you remember to buy that. And I was studying also, doing my own laundry. These things, like, I thought I would have a lot of free time outside school and outside learning the language, and that I'd have more time with my friends. But it was surprising that, no, because there are a lot of things that I have to do. Yeah, I think it challenged my independence. Plus, I think doing all of that, but also at the same and get myself really settled here. So going to the, I don't know, Ausländerbehörde and also the Bürgeramt.
All that stuff,
like,
yeah.
Doing that all, because I moved on my own. I didn't know anyone here yet. So yeah, it was a challenge, but to be honest, I actually enjoyed it. I feel like, I mean, I knew what I was getting into anyway. I knew I was moving into a country where I didn't speak the language, and that was something that I was up for. So I guess my mindset was more like embrace the difference than like point out how difficult it would have been, which was, I think, helpful, because when I talk to my friends, I feel like they had more trauma than I experienced. So yeah, it's just less negative of an experience. It was different. I never had to think of this in the Philippines, but also such a learning experience. And I feel like that mindset, where it was more about like, okay, learn how to do it and learn how to communicate with the Ausländerbehörde and the Bürgeramt, was like really helped me set up, like when I set up the business and I had to talk to the Finanzamt and the Bürgeramt and all the amts. It helped me like be able to communicate for myself and do things on my own and if I don't know, I learn and understand. I think I took it for granted because in the Philippines, I knew how to do things. I knew who to approach to help me.
What year did you start really doing it?
What year?
Like 3 years? Yeah, what year? 20? And you said like 3 years?
So I moved to Berlin 3.5 years, so January 2018. But the business, like the idea, only really came maybe December last year. Because I was so busy with work. Also, there was no time to really go outside. I've been thinking, so actually the business didn't start with coffee. I knew that I wanted to have a business that had something to do with the Philippines. I was 100% sure that I wanted to bring in something from the Philippines that people didn't know we had. And I tried actually different businesses. So one of my ideas was, I love home organization. And I have family friends who are producers of like solihia, the parang Spanish style chairs and furniture.
How many do you have?
I wanted to bring it in. And so that was the first idea. How can maybe I can bring in, or even like a rattan basket. So I'm going to show you one of them that I brought from the Philippines. So one of these.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, this is so pretty.
Nice. And they come with like white cloth that makes it really nice for the home.
Yeah.
But
for the cabinet and everything.
Yeah, I love it. So my flat is full of these things. But
then can you do a party? We just go straight to your place now.
Yes.
I love it. And I also know a lot of people who look for it. So this was one of the ideas that I had and that I explored, but then it got complicated. So my contact got coronavirus, and then the export business was a little bit harder. Plus the product is so big. It's hard to ship it. And it also isn't so different anymore in the market. I mean, I'd love to be able to say that these are produced in the Philippines, but honestly, Indonesia also produces the same. And there are also some European markets that produce these baskets from materials that they've purchased from Southeast Asia.
Very business oriented, as we can see.
I wish.
It's not about coffee. There are so many ideas that you're probably having, that you want to
put it is a nice idea.
Reality.
Yeah.
It is super nice idea.
Yeah.
Maybe you just, maybe it's not the right time for all this, but maybe it's come back. I'm pretty sure that this idea comes back. Maybe you just, you know what? Why don't you just
put it in my
have a coffee, and then all the stools and everything come there, and then you sell it. Everything what you can sit or then you sell it.
I think I was also thinking about that, because I guess the investment for bigger items like chairs and furniture and all of these baskets would require a lager, have space. So I do everything from home for now. And that's also why the stocks, I have to keep like very minimal stocks here, also to make sure that the coffee is always fresh. So I have very often deliveries to almost weekly, actually, to make sure that I sell coffee. And that's why it goes fast. So if I don't forecast well enough, I will not have enough stock to sell for the week. Like for now, I can focus on the coffee, and then once I have like a bigger space where I can bring in bigger things, it can happen. Just not yet now, but one day it will. And
I think you traveled already around the world, and especially in Asia. Do you see or do you taste the difference of the coffee beans? Like, I don't know. Unfortunately, I'm not a coffee drinker. I'm more than on tea. But do you taste or do you feel the taste? Like, is it different? Like in Korea or in Japan or Korea? I don't know if is there also a coffee industry there, or they're buying their coffee from somewhere else?
I think so. In Asia, the top producers really are Indonesia.
Okay.
So Indonesia is, I think, the third largest producer in the world right now. Their coffee is different because, like, yeah, I think one thing that a lot of people don't realize is that the taste of the coffee is affected by the kind of soil that they have, the climate, and also what kind of other agricultural products are grown in the region. So, for example, the one in Mount Apo tastes like this because that is a product of everything environmental in that area. So you can actually taste it. Like another example is Vietnam. Vietnam's coffee is so different. First of all, because they are heavier on Robusta, which is a different bean from Liberica and Arabica. So the taste is automatically very different. The caffeine content is also different. So yeah, you can taste it. I think not a lot of people will recognize it, but yeah, you can taste it. The notes are very different.
Okay. Have you ever tasted a coffee in other countries, Susie?
Well, I was just thinking about, the Davao coffee. I used to live for 12 years, like in Davao City. I mean, like Charel is also like from Mindanao. We're more from the south, actually. And there are coffees, and there are
we know Mount Apo.
We know Mount Apo. Yeah.
Yeah.
See it all the time when I look outside. Yeah, but I do ready that there are coffee, like plantations there. They're smaller ones outside, like going to Kalinan, that area, or even Anarakan up in the mountains. There are like certain smaller ones, but honestly, I've never really paid so much attention to it until I saw like coffee, like Davao coffee, like sold in the supermarket for the first time. And we were like, whoa, what's that? For the first time to see like, robust, how do you call it? Robustic, the Arabica, robustic, or how do you call that? And it was so amazing, really. Like, and we tasted it. It's really like this became like even a gift we would bring from the Philippines to Germany. We bought it there. It was just in the mall. But, just saying it is Davao coffee, this is from the Philippines, because this was so rare to get that. So that's why when we saw you on Instagram, we're like, oh my gosh, she's even here in Germany, and she's doing their business. This is
follow.
Yeah, really follow. And then we really like to check, like updates on your page. And this is really cool. And it's amazing that you do it on your own.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you do that? What are your hobbies? Do you still have free time to do anything else?
Yeah. Actually, I'm really, really careful. So first of all, I'm able to do this because I have a really supportive boss at work. I'm so lucky because like she knows all of these crazy business ideas that I have, and she makes sure that I learn from my full-time job what I would like to learn and what I'd like to be able to apply to my future business, like my current and future businesses. So I think, first I have a really supportive boss who knows that my work hours are strict because I have another job to go to. But it really, like, I started getting up earlier to make sure that, like, at preparing orders, because at a certain time, my courier will pick it up and it needs to reach the customers. But yeah, I've always been a little bit more creative. So I also have I do illustrations. I'm pretty much a curious person. So I took a coding course, for example, just because I was curious about how programmers think. And then I found it useful for my site because there were some things that I needed to program, like, different parts of the site that weren't available no code. So I learned it. But I'm so careful about stretching myself too thinly because I don't want to hate my business. which is easy, which is probably easy to happen. Like a lot of people are like, why would you hate your own business? But when it gets really stressful and then you don't see the growth, you don't see it growing as fast as you'd like it to grow. I mean, it's a business, right? Anything can happen, and it's not always going to be like an easy path. Also, the industry is very competitive. Like of all industries, I entered the coffee industry in Germany, which is like the #1 consumer of coffee in the world. So automatically it makes it so competitive. So I want to be careful in terms of how much time, how much effort. I want to learn as I go, and I want to make sure that I really enjoy this business, or else it's just one other thing that I'm doing and that I dread. And I really don't want it to reach that point. Like it's, to me for now, it's a small business and I really would love to see it grow, but I don't want to pressure myself into that, because people will also see you when you aren't enjoying your job anymore or this business. And for now, I love the creative process. I love that even if I have to wake up early to grind coffee beans and pack orders, I really do everything on my own. Like I love being able to do that for the people that support the business. So yeah, I think it's all about learning and enjoying. So also, if it means that I have to wait 2 or 3 days to be able to not really send out an order, because I send out on the same day, I try to. If it means having to take 3 days off just to recharge or go on a little trip, I will take it, because that benefits everybody in the long run.
We should promote the Philippines more often as we can, because the Philippines has so many resources, and the manpower is missing there, or the woman power is missing there, to make it bigger, to make a senso for the Philippines. Yeah, this is the truth, that the thing is that the Philippines has so many resources, like in agriculture, for example, like the coffee, or in fruits, in cocoa or whatever, and this is so sad to see. If you're going to an Asia store, why more China product, Thailand or Vietnam, more products are in than Filipino products are coming, but why is it more on Chinese? Why is it more on Thailand? Why is the fruits are from these countries or not more from the Philippines?
Yeah.
Actually, because of the export prices, I think. Yeah.
Maybe.
And
actually, this is also why I knew I chose, so whether it's coffee or these home organizations, home accessories, like the reason I wanted to bring them in was because these are things that really come from the Philippines, but it's very frustrating when I see other countries buying from the Philippines and branding it as their
exactly
own.
Exactly.
Like it frustrates me, and I've seen so many here in Europe, and I'm like, what? It's it's from the Philippines, and it's okay if a foreign country or a foreign company sells it, but I feel like people need to recognize where it comes from and give credit to communities that sell it. So that was one of the things that I was frustrated about. Plus the fact that when people hear about the Philippines, it's always like, oh, beaches. And they're like, there's more to that. There's more to that than Boracay or Palawan. We have so many. People don't even know that we have good mountains, even if some people think we still live in mountains or trees. It's not, people don't connect it that way yet. And just the fact that people if people just said, oh, you have coffee, I didn't know that, it makes me so happy, and then it starts a whole conversation. So just if the Philippines were known as something more than just islands, whatever that may be, whether it's like we grow our coffee or we have great, like all of these home organization products that you see in other stores that I will not name. They recognize that this is from the Philippines. Like, I'm super happy with that.
Wie ihr merkt, ging es nicht nur um Kaffee. Es geht um viel mehr, nämlich, dass die Philippinen mehr als nur Strände zu bieten haben. Und das gibt Pat mit ihrem Kaffee weiter. Denn die Philippinen sind reich in verschiedenen Kulturen und Traditionen. Man muss nur mal genauer hinschauen. Wir danken Pat für das schöne Interview und euch, dass ihr eingeschaltet habt. Und wir hören und sehen uns wieder in 2 Wochen. Habt es fein. Ayo-ayo.